Guten Abend. Bonsoir. Buonasera. Good evening. This is where the story begins. A small child, 2 years and 2 months old, for the first time on his skis. From those first uncertain turns to the steepest slopes of the world, that child would grow to become one of the best alpine skiers of his generation. Not by chance, not by talent alone, but by something way more powerful. A relentless pursuit of improvement and excellence, built through physical and mental strength. Tonight, we welcome Marco Odermatt. Marco's story is one of victories. World Cups, World Championships, Olympic success. And yet, what better defines Marco is not the moment he stands on the podium, is everything that comes before. Next slide. The countless iterations, the obsession of getting a little bit better every single day. And in that sense, and in all with due respect, this is a bit what we also try to do under these walls at EPFL. We often imagine performance as something instantaneous, a burst of geniality. In reality, whether on a mountain or in a laboratory, progress happens slowly, with a lot of effort and hard work. It happens through falling, failing, and standing up. This is the human part of success. In elite skiing, a fraction of a second can separate victory from defeat. And in that fraction, there's a whole world that is invisible. It is about engineering, materials performance, biomechanics, data. Every detail matters. And no matter how talented you are, equipment does count. Carl Lewis would not have been able to win so many races if he didn't have the right shoes. And this is where Marco's journey intersects with ours. Marco, for a long time, he has been working not with Pirelli, but with Stöckli. Stöckli, one of the Swiss great symbols of precision and craftsmanship. At EPFL, through the laboratory of Professor Véronique Michaud, we have been working with Stöckli for many years to build from science to the best performing skis. From early research of materials behaviors to the skis that make champions win. And what makes this connection remarkable is not the results. What makes it unique is the collaboration that happens between the engineers, the scientists, and the athletes. It's a whole loop between the athletes, the engineers, and the scientists that makes progress in the skis. Because Marco does not just use his equipment, he helps shape it. He tests prototypes and provides feedback based on his sensations, on the way the slopes go. He gives back the feedback to the engineers to let them improve and to make the skis better. Together, they create something that they would never have been able to create on themselves. This is what is called co-creation. Excellence is never built by a single person. It's always the combination of many people working together. At EPFL, this is how we work. Whether with skiers, with sailors, or other scientists, the breakthroughs that really matter always happens not what you would think. You would think it happened with specialists. In fact, breakthroughs happen very often at the interface where different specialists come together, where people collaborate from different perspectives. And still, beyond technology and performance, there's a deeper learning that we can take from Marco's journey. Excellence takes time. It demands attention to details that most people would never notice. And it requires resilience. And to sustain that over time, it requires joy. To keep pushing forward, it's not only ambition that we need passion. Marco's story reminds us that success is not just about reaching the top. It's about defining where that top is. And this is why his presence here today matters. Whether we're designing skis, skiing, or pushing the boundaries of knowledge, we are all reaching for the same, trying to learn, to understand better, and to get better every single day. Trying to make possible what was once impossible. Marco Odermatt, thank you for showing us how this journey looks like. Please, I invite you to come to the scene. And now I need the title. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Dear Marco, it's now with my greatest pleasure to confer upon you the title of Doctor Honoris Causa of EPFL. And I will read the Laudatio in recognition of your outstanding achievements in alpine skiing and your standing as one of sport's foremost figures on the international stage. An Olympic champion and multiple World Cup winner, you exemplify the excellence built on technical mastery, consistency, and resilience. You also stand out for your ability to balance mind, body, and equipment with extraordinary precision, demonstrating a disciplined and innovative approach to performance paired with remarkable personal qualities.
Thank you.
Some people want to see it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. We have just witnessed a very special moment for EPFL, the awarding of an honorary doctorate to Marco Odermatt, a champion who, as it has been said, achievement, value, and spirit resonates a lot with our school. Marco, are there a few words you would like to share with the audience before we get started with the roundtable?
Yeah, for sure. Good evening to everyone. It's a big honor to be here today and get this very special honorable doctor title today. I mean, I've usually not getting anything in this suit except probably the sports awards. Normally, I'm in my ski suit, and I, kind of finished my school career nearly 10 years ago with the Matura. The university was always just my plan B. And after getting into the World Cup, winning races, medals, globes, anything like this got further and further away. So, it's a big honor to be here tonight. Thank you very much for this great honor. And also, we heard it in the beginning, a big thank you to Stöckli, who started this work together with the EPFL, I heard 8 years ago. So it's a pretty long time. This journey already started, and yeah, I'm also very thankful for their whole work. Yeah, they made my journey possible, and so yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. So please have a seat. And the added value as well is it's going to take less place than the crystal globes that you usually win, right? So tonight we are going to talk about a word that fascinates as much as it questions, excellence. But that's not all. We will also explore what happens behind the scene and what makes performance possible. We will talk about research, which pushes boundaries, industry, which turns ideas into reality, education, which transfers knowledge and prepares future generation, and of course, the central role of the athletes. These words may seem different, but actually they are deeply connected. And if there is one field where they mutually meet, influence, and accelerate each other, that's definitely sport. Sport is not only about the performance we see, it's also about scientific innovation, about cutting-edge technology, industrial collaboration, and it is a powerful way to drive learning and knowledge transfer. In order to discuss these different points, I would like to invite some guests to join on the stage. I'm happy to welcome today Véronique Michaud, professor at EPFL, representing the world of research, where ideas are born and where tomorrow's breakthrough takes shape. Véronique. I also invite Mathieu Fauve, Head of Research and Development at Stöckli, a Swiss brand, as it has been said, who bridges innovation and product, connecting the laboratory, the field, and the athletes. Allegra Magnetti, a former EPFL student, elite skier, and now an engineer in the ski industry, a perfect example of knowledge transfer, learning, and personal development. And of course, we already are here with Marco. One important point I wanted to mention as well to the audience, I will be moderating the roundtable, but you certainly have very nice questions as well. I propose that you scan the QR code that will appear right now if you have any questions, and you can start asking the questions right now. So please do not hesitate, and at the end of the roundtable, we will select a couple of them coming directly from you in the public. Marco, starting with you. It's a privilege to have you with us today. Most of us only see images of you during the race, and we would like to know what happens behind the scene. So if you had to describe a typical competition day, for example, Adele Bowden, when you won this year, what does it look like? Can you tell us a bit more about your typical day?
Well, yeah, I think the preparation of a race obviously starts far back many years or months or for sure a couple of days before. But I think on the race day, actually we do more warm-up than actual racing because, yeah, we get up in the morning with the first warm-up in the hotel, then we go to the mountain, do the warm-up on snow, then we go inspection, then we do the warm-up before the first run. Then you do, after first run, you have probably a little bit time for recovery, eating something. Then you do again the warm-up for the second run. So it's actually more warm-up than anything else. And then even, yeah, probably the longest, sometimes hardest part is even after the race with all the media things you have to do. Sometimes you have beep draw for the next races, you have prize giving if everything went very well. And so, yeah, the day is pretty full.
So basically a very long day in regard of the short time we see you on TV. Basically, that really shows also you've been at the top of the World Cup for how many years? Almost 10 years, something like that? quite impressive. 5-time winner, we saw it on the video of the World Cup, 16 Crystal Globes, more than 50 World Cup victories, over 100 podiums, 4 Olympic medals. So, I mean, that's just impressive. Behind these numbers, there is discipline, consistency, dedication. Can you describe the path that brought you there? As you said, it didn't start in one day. So what brought you all there?
I think, as stupid as it sounds, but it starts with the passion, with the joy you have for something. I found joy in skiing. Many students here will find it in something else, but I think when you have something, a passion for something, you are able to put in the work. This is something great. It makes everything much easier, and yeah, everything takes time. I'm on the top level maybe for 6 years now, but yeah, the first races they started with 4 or 5 years old, so it also took me 20 years somehow to get to this point where you start winning races. So it just takes time. For sure, your environment is probably something or the most important thing, to have the right people around you to work with, to receive and also take the help, because we don't know everything by ourselves.
You mentioned people around you. One question is, how many people are in your team? Because as you mentioned, you're the person skiing. How many people are helping you in the whole thing?
Wow, this number is impossible to say. I mean, in the end, the EPFL is also kind of part of the team. So this is very hard to tell. On tour in the World Cup races, we have maybe a team around 7, 8, 9 people, I would say. There are 3, 4 coaches, a physical coach, a physiotherapist, and then my service guy who is always with me on every ski day.
Thank you. So there is a question I wanted to bring to all of you. Today we're going to talk about excellence, as I said, but it's probably something that is totally different depending on the field where you are. So I would be very happy to hear all of you and to tell me in a few words, what does excellence mean in your different domains? Who wants to start?
I can start. I think when we talk about excellent, this is something we seek. We're looking for excellent. We try to achieve. It's not always easy to achieve. But regarding our job, we want to have the most performant equipment. As for Marco, we want him to have the best equipment. And even though he's at the top, we want to be always better. IBW, what we say, immer besser werden in German. Always be better. So if we're at the top, we don't have to sleep. We have to be even better. So that's where we're seeking for excellence. It's not always easy, but that's what we're looking for.
So it's not the end goal, it's the path, and it's always pushing the limit.
It's always
right?
pushing the limit on the product side and on all the different quality side. So always push.
Allegra, Véronique?
Well, I would agree. I say it's also not being happy to be in your comfort zone. I mean, I think for us also as professors at EPFL, we're always pushed by the students. They keep on asking questions, wanting to do new things. And we should just always look to go beyond things that we know how to do. Just look to learn new skills, new things, evolve all the time. And I think that's also part of the, again, not being happy with what you have, always push, but always be ready to learn, to fail, and to start again. That's also part of the excellence for me.
Thank you. And Allegra, would you like to add something?
As a just graduated student, I think excellence for us is being able to really work on projects that we are super passionate about. And then clearly we, as students, will have the best interest in getting the most out of the project. And that's how excellence is reached.
Thank you. So pushing the limit, being unhappy, but with basically excellence, or this come also pressure, right? And I'm sure that many students in the room would be very happy to hear a bit about your secret to handle pressure in order to apply that for the exams coming shortly. So Marco, how do you handle the pressure of this competition, and do you have tricks or elements you...
I think pressure is just part of the game. You just have to find a way to handle it. For me, actually now pressure is something that helps me to perform on my best, because without this pressure, there is always, for me now in training, there is always something missing, you know, it doesn't count now. So in ski racing, it also has something to do with taking the risk. And when there is the pressure, you're also willing to take the risk. You probably cut the line where you never would in training. Probably it also doesn't make sense, but on a race, if you go with 100%, it still works, I think. But for sure, this is not the answer that helps you a lot. But I think for me, it's also being well prepared is, yeah, something that helps for sure when you're before an exam, or for me before a start gate, and you know you did everything you could. Yeah, what do you want to do more? So being well prepared, knowing this, helps me as well to handle the pressure.
For sure. Thank you. While preparing this panel, I came across a small anecdote that was very nice, where you mentioned how you chose Stöckli as a brand. Could you explain it to the audience?
Yeah, it was many years ago, I think 17 years ago now. It was in a normal training, and I was just not fast enough for my feeling. So I just took a ski of my friend. I could try it for one run, and I was immediately 1.5 seconds faster with this Stöckli ski. And then I asked him, we had a race the next weekend, and I asked him if I could have his warm-up ski, just his warm-up ski for my race, and he gave it. Luckily, he gave it to me, and I won that race. And then I went to my parents and said, I need new Stöckli skis for the upcoming weekends, and since then I'm on.
You got them. So that brings me to a question to you, Mathieu. How do you make sure that Marco doesn't want to try another pair of skis?
Well, we do all our best that he's successful. So that means develop the best products and give the best support. And when talked about the best products, that means products that are adapted to him. I mean, he feels the ski. The ski has to do what he wants and not the opposite. Otherwise, it doesn't work. And so if we do all our best and he's successful, obviously there's no big risk that he goes see someone else.
We just cross finger then. Stöckli, as we said, is producing in Switzerland. So we have a short video. We wanted to show you what it looks like. So I propose that we just make a deep dive in the factory of Stöckli.
What do you expect from a perfect ski? Grip, smooth performance, speed. Perfection begins at Stöckli in Malta, Switzerland, with the mindset, we aim to craft the world's best skis. To achieve this, approximately 80 experts put forth their best effort, passion, quality, precision, and a great deal of attention to detail. Every Stöckli ski is produced through 140 steps and from up to 30 high-precision individual components. Much of it is handcrafted. The printing of the design takes up to 5 days. 10 primary laminates made from a variety of high-quality materials are assembled by hand with precision. And each production ski is pressed for 24 to 25 minutes under approximately 40 tons of pressure. For the perfect finish, the base is stone ground up to 24 times, and each model receives a customized ground edge. The manufacture of a Stöckli ski takes a total of 18 working days. We invest 2 years in development until completion. The result is world-class skis made in Switzerland. Not only for Marco Odermatt, but for all skiers worldwide who value the highest quality. It is for all of them that we craft our skis. 360 pairs per day and over 75,000 pairs per year. Built for perfection. Stöckli, the Swiss ski.
So I hope you enjoyed the visit. What really impresses me is that those skis are produced by hand. So there are a lot of manual steps in producing those skis. Many other brands produce abroad for cost reductions, and you're still producing close to Lucerne in Malters. Could you explain how and basically what motivates you to keep the production in Switzerland and how you do to remain competitive?
Well, you know, it's I just forgot what I wanted to say. No. To produce in Switzerland is for Stöckli essential. Swiss made is our USP. We are convinced that Swiss made has the external international link to high quality, high performance. And so this is why we want to focus and remain in Switzerland. There's no goal of going outside Eastern Europe as many other brands do. We want to keep on producing in Switzerland, but in order to remain competitive, we need to optimize our production. I mean, you saw and you heard there's a lot of handwork, so we're always investing in new machines so that we can still be a little bit competitive, but nevertheless, we're positioned on high segments. So this is why our skis have their cost, because we produce them with high quality and a lot of expert. This is also something I wanted to say. We have 90 years experience in building skis in Switzerland. We have experts, we have people that have been working 50 years at Stöckli, and they have huge knowledge, and we want to keep this here. Yeah. And we have the nice mountains to go test the skis next to the production.
Wonderful, and we want to keep you close to EPFL as well. I saw that there is a special ski edition in preparation, the WRT Odermatt, and I would be very interested to understand a bit the relationship that you have between you, an athlete, and the brand in order to do the development and give the feedback to the brand for the investment or the implementation of the different things. So could you comment on that, Marco, Mathieu? How does this work?
Yeah, I mean, this collaboration is, already very long now, not those 17 years where I started, but for sure, like maybe 10 years since I'm in the World Cup, we are working very, very close together. I think this explicit model is, in the end, a key for everyone on the slope with my design, but I'm obviously working way more with my racing skis, and this is a constant discussion. I mean, I have my service guy, he is with me every single day. He's from the Stöckli team, and every day I'm on snow, I test skis. There are maybe the first 5 days of the season where you get into it again, but after the 5-6 days of the season, you already start again to try new skis, to compare those different models. There are so many different things you can try. So it's a constant discussion with the company, but also with my service, with the coaches to improve everything.
Mathieu, the person making the connection is the serviceman, or that's the direct contact?
For sure, there's a serviceman, but also the racing head of racing, which is also a good link. But the best is also when I'm at the training and we can talk, I can see things, and usually we need this connection. Sometimes when you have too many people in between, maybe something gets a bit lost. So for sure, the best is to be direct in contact. But to come back on his special ski, as you said, Marco, it's a laser WRT. It's a model that we already developed, but with a lot of racing technologies that we developed for the athletes, but that went into the normal skis. And of course, on the optical aspect, this is where we work together, and Marco brought a lot of good ideas.
They're beautiful. And can anybody ski with those, or are they extremely demanding?
No. More or less everybody can ski. Of course, it's maybe not for the real beginners, but from average skier to a good skier, everyone will have a lot of pleasure on it.
We shall try. Mathieu, we are here at EPFL, and you also collaborating with Véronique, the laboratory for processing of advanced composite. So it's a lab you're collaborating with since many years. What type of expertise are you looking for in this type of partnership?
Well, at Stöckli, we're a small company still, with a small R&D team. We have a lot of ideas, but too less manpower. And we need some brains that help us and make us go forward. So this is why we started, as I looked in 1997, first project, giving them some special task where they could work on subjects where we don't have the time. We need to develop the ski for Marco, we need to develop the whole collection, and so we need to have this external people helping us on some project. And now we had a look, 18 students over the last years that helped us to understand some what's happening. Again, we still know a lot, but not everything what's happening sometime between the athlete, the ski, and the snow. And also we could develop some technologies that helped you and helped us make better skis, as we saw with the turtle shell and other technologies. So we need this expertise. And
long-time collaboration, as you mentioned, that's also a way to gain trust and know what you can expect from the laboratories, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. So talking about the laboratories, I propose that we have a deep dive in the lab so that you see what it looks like. And we have a small film that I would like to ask you, Véronique, to comment, please.
Okay. Yeah, so just to show a bit what we do in the lab. So this is just all the materials you have in a ski. So as you see, for us working in materials, it's very interesting because we have access to a bunch of materials that are put together in a sandwich form. So here you see one of our collaborators, Jean-Baptiste, who's preparing. And of course, because we're in the lab, we're not making skis, we're making small samples that are somehow representative of a ski or of what we want to test. So you saw that in Stöckli they use a press. We also have a press, a small press in the lab, where we reproduce exactly the same conditions or different conditions if you want to push and see, you know, if we could cure faster, slower, different temperatures. And then another thing that we do is to do tests, of course. So this is an example of a mechanical testing. We often do, you know, flexural testing. Here it's the case where we actually take the top sheet, which is the film that is just protecting the surface, and we pull on it and we try to see what is the force that we need to peel this off. So to make sure that it cannot be peeled off during the skiing. And then, for example, we also use the microscope. So when we want to cut, if we insert some new materials or we try new construction, we want to back calculate then what is the thickness, for example, of the layers that we put in. So there we can, and there you see one who's sitting somewhere also in the room. He's a student working on the project with us right now. So that's a bit a quick glimpse of things we do in the lab with the materials from the ski.
Thank you. And now we want to know a bit the secrets that you are doing for Stöckli. Can you tell us a bit what you're doing? No?
Of course.
Just a few of them. What are you doing, or what type of research are you doing there?
I won't tell you the secrets, but no, I think, and it comes from, if we look over all the work we did over the years, I've seen a big evolution also of Stöckli. At the beginning, it was a very, very small company with no research, almost, and no equipment. So they really, when they wanted to develop, they needed access to somebody with a mechanical testing machine or some microscopes. Now, of course, they are much more equipped, which is great because they start to be able to do also developments internally. And we did a lot of tests on many things. So on trying to understand the behavior of the ski, also in collaboration with SLF in Davos, where actually Mathieu, that's where I met him first. We did a lot of work on trying to mimic the behavior of the ski and trying to also understand the interaction between the ski and the snow. Then we also integrated fiber optic sensors, for example, on the ski to be able to ski with the sensors and really understand what's going on a real ski. So a lot of understanding, and then also work on the materials. So can we try new materials? Can we improve also the processing methods so that we can gain time? That's part of the efficiency. Can we use other types of glues? Sometimes we run projects and we realize it doesn't work. And so then we take a step back and say, okay, this was a bad idea. And so over the years, many things. And then we discussed also the design. So of course, Mathieu is always coming back saying, well, Véronique, you know, I have this idea that we need the ski not to be linearly responding. You know, we can increase the thickness and everything, get a stiffer ski or a softer ski, but can you make it soft then stiff? And I said, no way, you know, you must be kidding. And then I saw this turtle presentation, and I sent him a paper, and he said, "Are you sure it's for me, this paper about turtles?" You know, like. And then we started to develop this concept with and then a funded project and so on. So that's how, you know, a lot of discussions, a lot of knowledge, indeed, from each other, then leads to some ideas of projects. So.
That's for the part of engineering, research, science behind. Then we have also you as an athlete. You're talking about, you know, feeling on the slope. So it's a matter of translating those feelings in questions related to the performance. So how do you translate that? How do you, you know, come from what you feel on the skis to bring this information then to the industry and the laboratory so that you can all work together?
Yeah, I think the feeling is one part, but obviously in the end you win the races by the time. So I think this is the big problem. The feeling is not always showing the time. So that's the difficult part about testing the skis. Also with all those different conditions, it's not on a we are not on a racetrack for cars where it's more or less always the same conditions. We have so many variable things, so that makes it very, very tough. In the end, I want to have a ski that gives me speed and power, but still kind of soft to absorb all the bumps, and this is actually kind of impossible. If you want to have more energy, you lose probably a little bit of the balance or of the absorbing part of the ski, and this is exactly where we need where I need the experts to find maybe different ways or equipment materials that make my wish still somehow able.
And how do you measure those elements on the slopes? Do you have measurements techniques on the slopes or elements that allows you to get, you know, these elements in numbers and then bring them back to the lab?
We can measure, as Véronique told, with strain gauge or optical fibers, but it takes a bit time to do this, so we don't do this at every training. So, as Marco said, his feeling and the time, this is the best. And also we make also a lot of video analysis that help us also to see maybe slow motion to see what's happening with the ski. The big problem, well, I see two problems. First is Marco has so little time for testing. So we need to be sure that when we go testing, we should have first not too many models and that they're correctly focused, because the testing time is very little. And also the second point I want to explain is that, as Marco said, usually when we try to optimize something, usually he comes with something we need to optimize. The tricky point is how to optimize this, but not weaken other good properties. So this is to find the right middle.
Yeah. So we already discussed the role of students that you had in the collaboration. So we have the chance to welcoming also Allegra, a former student of EPFL and a high-level skier as well, who worked on different projects in Véronique laboratory. Allegra, can you tell us first what motivated you first to do engineering studies?
Yes, thank you. So clearly I was more interested about scientific subjects, as most people that engage in engineering studies. But before engineering, I was a skier, so I was always super passionate about the ski products, skis, why the ski gates were breaking maybe at some point. So that what led me to, in particular, do materials engineering, and then eventually come to EPFL for my master studies in material science and engineering.
So starting with the patient as well. And during your years at EPFL, how did you balance between competition that you were doing and also studies and the opportunities also to select projects? How did you manage to handle all those different elements?
So before starting engineering, I was already balancing school and being a ski racer. So then engineering came right after, and I tried to apply the same to what I was doing earlier. At the beginning of my studies, it was a lot about trying to differentiate at most my ski life and my life in school and at university, so that I could focus on one thing at the time. And then in the last year, the good thing that happened is that these two passions kind of merged together. So that's when I kind of accelerated in my study career, let's say, and I was really having fun doing engineering and working on the project as well.
Yeah, and I can imagine that knowing the both worlds, so the engineering side and the engineering, the sports side, must be definitely an added value for your future career. So how do you implement that now in your professional career?
So both, let's say, engineering and skiing, they are pressure environment, we can say. There's lots of competition in both. But coming, especially from skiing, first of all, I can really isolate, let's say, I try at least to isolate each project so that I can fully focus on it. And then one thing that I noticed is that I can take, and many students, athletes, then can take challenges way more easily. And we are not afraid of failing because we always try, as in ski racing, to always look for the next competition, or in my case, for the next project.
Wonderful. So this question of competition and engineering was a way to open the question to you, Marco. After your ski career, would you be interested in developing relation with the sport industry or the academia?
Maybe
Just
now, yes.
Inviting you there.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's super interesting what I could experience in the last couple of years to work super close with a brand like Stöckli to find or to try to improve every little detail. So yeah, not sure where my second career will take me yet. I hope I can still be on that career for a couple of more years and continue the work where we are right now. But yeah, for sure, this time will come where I have a little bit more time for other projects. And yeah, I love the sport. I love to work on the equipment. So the chance is for sure here to try some new challenges on the other side of the...
We definitely don't hope that it will happen too soon, but now that you have a doctorate from EPFL, you are more than welcome to work with us afterwards.
Not sure how useful I am, but I will try.
So, Véronique, a question to you. EPFL is not chasing medals. That's not what we're doing, or records. So, from an academic perspective, what do you gain from working with the sport world?
Yeah, I mean, of course, and we are not looking always to work with sports company for Marco, I'm sorry, but also for, you know, the old women skiing like me. So working on skis that are also, or other sports equipment that can also be adapted for the wider public. And there, indeed, it's not so much the winning medal that is, but it's maybe to prevent to injure yourself or to, you know, have comfort, have pleasure in doing the sports, but at the same time, not kill yourself. You know, you can still walk after you get out of your ski day. So, so this means developing different skis, different concepts, really much more resilient, much more easy. And I think, so that's one aspect that is interesting because it goes wider, of course. And the other aspect for us to work with the sports company is, well, in composite materials, we are used, or our materials are used everywhere, of course. But the time, you know, if you work with Stöckli, for example, or with any other companies doing sports, you try, you have an idea, and you know, 2 weeks later it's implemented. 2 months later, somebody has tried it. So it goes very fast. So it's really rewarding because you can think about something, and very soon you can get the feedback. If you work for a space company or biomedical company, the feedback comes much, much later, of course, for safety reasons as well. So you have to, it's often used actually as a test bed to try new materials that then can move on into other applications. So it's also interesting for that it's a kind of a much more fast fail, fast reward type of approach. And then you can also learn a lot on materials, which then you can use to other applications.
So really a test bench to implement knowledge afterwards and transfer it in other field. Do you have any examples that you could share where you had something done for sports that has then been used in other industries?
I have the one that I love to tell, and I see Bertrand is in the room, so he will. That's for America's Cup, because we worked a lot on the America's Cup boats, and for the boat hull, we had to really develop a lot on making sandwich structures, but in a way that is very different from what aerospace would do. So because the rules forbid us from using an autoclave, so we developed a lot of low pressure processing techniques to reach very high quality materials. And we always said, yeah, but don't worry, this will be useful one day for other people, not just for one boat. And then we were approached by, at that time, it was not Beyond Gravity, now it's called Beyond Gravity, it was React Space, making the Ariane fairings. And we visited the company, and we saw these rocket fairings. They really looked like two boat hulls, and they were very worried because they were using really expensive techniques, and they wanted to develop, more efficient processes. And we said, yeah, we could do it like a boat hull. You never thought about that. And then we had a project with the European Space Agency and all this on really thinking a bit differently from what they would do in aerospace, really using the boat approach. And in the end, it led us to, succeed, build factories, and now they're made without pressure. And this is a topic which is evolving a lot in aerospace. So for me, I always like to say that because at that time, everybody said, those guys are crazy, they're spending so much money on one boat. But in the end, it really translated, but 10 years later, into something that was actually much wider and useful also for the Swiss economy.
So we'll see where the technology from Stöckli will end in the future as well.
Yeah.
Talking about future, I had a question to all of you. What major innovations do you see coming to transform the alpine skiing within the next 10 years? Tough question.
Ski on grass?
I hope not.
We hope not.
I see maybe, for sure, the AI will help us to maybe move a bit forward faster and find new ideas faster. So I can not tell you at the moment which one, but we could be faster and find new ideas. I see also from the more sensors in the product, mainly ski, but also binding, because most of the injuries happen when ski don't release. So I think there's something which will move on in having more secure equipment, and I see this is where sensor is going to, and AI will help. So this is where I see.
We could also think about the personalized ski. Like I could come to Stöckli and say, hey, here's my body weight, my level, my age, this and that, and they could just produce a ski that is just for me. That could be also very interesting, and maybe AI and all this could help to make not one size fits all, but more personalized ski. Why not?
Could be a challenge in the production.
Allegra?
I also think most innovations are gonna just come from safety regulations. That's for sure, because athletes are becoming faster and faster, really, more and more performative. But clearly the materials, the products have to also be at the same level. Yes, it would be nice if there would be a lot of sensors really making us predict injuries, for example. That would be super interesting, in my opinion.
And you, Marco, are there anything you're dreaming of that you could share? I mean, that's the right moment. We have a lot of smart brain that would develop that for you afterwards.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to hear those different things. I mean, we as athletes, for sure, the safety is also super important for us. We know there are many things going on in the background with those new sensors, especially in the binding with the airbag system and everything. But as an athlete, you're still always looking forward to get faster. You would not give many hundreds for a bigger safety. So I think this will be kind of the challenge in the future to improve both sides. On the performance side, it's hard to say. I think we are really on a high level. All companies. It's also all the rules made by the FIS makes it also kind of hard to explore completely new things. So yeah, I hope we can still find some hundreds or tenths of a seconds, but I think to make really big steps with gaining seconds, probably not in this decade.
Thank you. So in Switzerland, we are fortunate to have outstanding athletes, renowned companies, and excellent students as well with top universities. So what do you think we would need to make Switzerland the reference for innovation in sports? What kind of mechanism or support would be needed to go one step higher and to be recognized as the place to be to innovate in sports?
I don't know. I think we are already on that place in some points, for sure not globally in every section, but I think we, yeah, as you mentioned, we have very good athletes, we have very good schools, universities, students. I think we have all we need to get really, or to really be on the highest level.
On laboratory side or on company side? Do you have any dream to share? It's
maybe,
the time
maybe
of dreams.
in company side, it's not a dream, this is actually what's happening. We have those founding projects as InnoSwiss that are very useful for a company that doesn't have the huge budget for R&D as we have. So we're always happy if we are part of this research project can be co-financed by the federation. And this is what we need. We need this kind of support from different research program. We have some, and it's important to always have those. And so that, and it's easy for application, not too many hundred of pages to fill, which is kind of breaks sometimes our motivation. But we need those facilities. Yeah.
Regarding labs, having more contacts with industry, or you're already
as professor, we can have contact with industry if we want to, so it's not so much of a problem. But I mean, it's a question of size. I mean, we are not. I think we cannot be as big as huge countries. So if you compare with the size of the country, we're actually indeed pretty good. We need to make sure that we keep on pushing ourselves for sure, keeping having projects, continuing to develop. We need to make sure also that it's innovation, but in sports in particular, and I think that's why I like to work with Stöckli, it's not just to have gimmicks, like marketing. It's really to believe that you can have new things, but you have to prove that they actually work, and you have to prove that indeed they don't compromise the quality, the safety, and so on. So it's really, and I don't feel bad that we have this reputation in Switzerland to have innovation and but also without compromising on other topics. And I think it's something we need to continue to push as well.
Okay. Any additional comment on your side, Allegra? Or?
Yeah, I think Switzerland is already mostly mountains, so there is lots of room for more innovation and reaching towards excellence. I think what I would like to see ideally, clearly, is maybe more communication or between skiers and, for example, the lab and the industry then. So maybe skiers coming to the lab and research coming to the ski slope in order to understand each other's needs. I think that's one of the best ways to evolve.
So increase the communication and the exchange.
Yes, exactly.
As well. Yeah, wonderful. So it's time to open the floor to questions from the public. So I will ask Emmanuel to join us on stage. He will come with your questions. So you still have a few seconds to ask specific questions that you may have that we haven't covered right now. You will need to borrow one mic.
So, good evening, everyone. I'm quite happy to say that we have almost 200 questions. So, first, apologies for the 190 people who will not have their question asked tonight because, of course, we don't have the whole night, but still. Most of the questions are quite personal. Some are a bit technical. I'm trying to make a selection based on the popularity of the questions, since some of them have been upvoted, and also to have some diversity in what we can still say, some of the questions have already been answered during the discussions, obviously. So since we are at EPFL with many students in the room, I will start with the one that is from the students, most obviously. Have you ever heard of the EPFL ETH Challenge? It's a ski competition where students from both schools compete, and generally EPFL wins. So can you explain why?
Probably they have all Stöckli skis, I don't know.
That could be an explanation. Now, let's get to some more serious questions. We've been discussing a bit already about the relationship between the performance and the equipments in ski, sometimes compared to Formula One. In your opinion, and you said first you tried the Stöckli, you won 1 second and a half. How important is it, the technical details in the skis? How much time do they make you win in a race?
Yeah, that's a super hard question to answer in numbers. I think it's impossible to answer that question properly, but without a good ski, you cannot win a race, and obviously without a good athlete, you can neither win a race. It has to be hand in hand. Yeah, if the ski isn't fast, if your service guy did a bad job, or you have no chance to win, you would lose so much time in the flat parts on a downhill, for example. If the edge is not sharp enough on an icy slope, you cannot even make one turn and your race is finished after one gate. So yeah, both things have to be on a super high level. But for sure, in the end, our sport is decided by hundredths of a second, and yeah, the ski definitely can make the difference.
I suppose you have different types of skis at the beginning of every race. What makes you choose one over the other?
Mostly it's the snow conditions. Either it's cold, aggressive snow, or more water in the snow, like ice, or when it's getting into spring, more this slush snow. This is for me the most topic or factor that makes my decision. I think for an example to this, maybe 4 or 5 years ago in Val Gardena, there is always super cold, aggressive snow, and the first two years there, I had no chance. I was skiing. I already won races before, but at this place I was fighting for top 30. So yeah, we really sat together and we said, I told Mathieu, Stöckli, we need to find some way to get better in those conditions, and we really tried some new models, changed the whole ski, and 1 year later I did my first podiums there. Another year later I could even won this flat downhill, which is not really made for my technique. So this shows how important the equipment is.
And your answer,
it's challenging sometimes when you have different snow conditions from the top to the bottom, and then which setup do you take? So this is where it's sometimes very tricky.
You could change in the middle, no?
No, but not Formula One.
How many different pairs of ski do you have for each race? How many different pairs do you have?
Exactly.
How many pairs do you have at the beginning?
Well, I think beginning of a week we have like 10, 20 pairs of skis.
Each with different properties?
Yeah, some with different models, different edges, different bindings, different how you say?
Different base.
Yeah, different base. So during the training days, obviously it comes together to maybe 2 options on a race day.
And you mentioned that you needed, well, you said what you wanted, and then 1 year later you had what you wanted with the help of Stöckli developers. Do other athletes at top level also have that direct relationships to their brand, or is it really a specificity that you can have here with Stöckli?
I think the top athletes from other brands have more or less similar connections to the factory. I think the special thing with us is I am Swiss, Stöckli is Swiss. I live 30 minutes from the company. I'm with the Stöckli family for 17 years now, so we are trust and the connection. We are so familiar together, so I think this helps us to improve those things probably even faster. We understand each other, we know the language we speak, but I think the other top athletes, they have still similar connections.
That's interesting. Regarding technical aspects of the skis, what kind of breakthrough, if you have to coin one breakthrough over the last 20 years, maybe in ski technology, that could go to each one of you, I think. What would you say? What was the one thing that changed the game?
The one thing with their shape skis, so carving skis, that was the biggest, I would say, revolution almost in skiing.
And did it come to the competitors before the public also?
Yeah, it was for ski racing before, yeah.
Interesting. A very personal question, Marco, if I may, well, if they may. Do you still ski just for pleasure?
Not often, sadly. I would love to do it more, but there is sadly just no time during the winter. I maybe get one day over the Christmas or New Year's Eve time. There is some little break from my season, and then the second day is most of the time after the World Cup finals in April. There are maybe 2-3 more days, maybe 1, 2, 3 ski tours in the springtime, but that's it, sadly.
But do you have any holidays? And if so, what would you like? What do you like to do in your holidays?
Right now, 2 days ago, I came back from the beach. So after a long season, I'm also happy to not see the snow and the mountains and skis for 2 weeks. But I started training this morning again, so the holidays are over. And last year I was free ride skiing in Alaska, so that was still skiing holidays. But most of the time I prefer my holidays at the beach.
Okay. There is one question about how about your feelings at the beginning of a race. There must be some fear because we know that it's quite dangerous at some point. I mean, you can really get really badly hurt. How do you deal with this fear at the moment of starting?
I never felt fear at the start, I guess. It's for sure, and it's also super important to have respect from the mountain, from the slope, from the conditions, to not get too excited about skiing down the downhill. But we athletes, we don't like to speak about fear, I think, because there is no place for fear. It's, as I mentioned, it's good to have respect, but you know what you can. You worked your whole life for that situation. When we are in Kitzbühel at the start of the most difficult downhill, yeah, we worked for that moment 25 years of our life. So we are prepared, we know how to deal with it. For sure, with the adrenaline, this at the border gets a little bit higher. You're not always 100% under control, but you try to have it most of the time.
Which leads to another question. How far can you make decisions during the race? Is it all already planned during the training and you know exactly how you have to do, or you are really riding actively on every curve?
I think it's both at the same time. Somehow you obviously have exactly your line, your plan in your mind, but during a race, this plan, this line also can change quickly with, as I mentioned, with the adrenaline, with the will to go down as fast as possible. But I think still in the end it's important to stay somehow on this plan, especially if you do a mistake or if you're out of the line, to really try not to win this time again already in the next turn, to stay kind of on your plan, to not risk too much, because yeah, when you're out of the line with I think when everything goes well, you can't really see the energy, the forces of alpine skiing, but if they go in the wrong direction with a crash, you can finally see the forces. And yeah, if you're in a too bad situation, you cannot really always fight against the force.
And is there something here that that technology could add? For example, you were talking about some measurements that would be made live during the race. Is there some? Are we considering maybe developing some feedback that the skier could have in his ear, saying that something is going not so well with one of the skis or something? Is that a path that is being developed?
It's not a path that's being developed. First, on one side, that you cannot put any batteries in the ski. That's forbidden from the FIS. So it's a bit difficult to give him some feedback without this battery. So no, there's nothing at the moment. And I think it could disturb maybe the athletes by having too much feedback. He's focused on something, and if he gets this feedback, maybe it's more dangerous.
That's interesting. Some people have asked, Marco, how slower do you think you would be if you just took some rental skis to do one race?
Then I would be afraid. I guess. Yeah, much slower.
Yeah, it's funny because it says something about the trust that you need to have in your equipment. We've been talking a lot about the skis. Helmets are also a key part in security on the slopes. Is this also a field that you are exploring with scientists?
We are working on it a little bit, but far too slow, I would say. So I think all the helmet factories should also come here and develop new things, because I think the safety rules from our helmets are already 13, 14 years ago and old, and that can't be with how fast everything is developing right now in our age. So I think there is big potential to move forward there, to make better helmets. I mean, also when we see all the guys on the slopes, what most of them wear helmets, I mean, they are probably, many of them are 20 years old, and they look like, but that's the problem, you can't really, even after a crash, you just put on the same helmet again, because it's not, you don't crash on a bike, on a stone or whatever, and it's broken. So I think that's a big problem also for many head injuries, that many person use way too old helmets.
Thank you. I don't know where to choose, because there are really a lot of questions. How much time do we still have, Pascal?
A couple of minutes, go ahead.
Okay. Perfect. Well, we've been already talking a little bit about this, but if you have one wish, and sometimes for the scientists, to develop what really would be the best thing to develop in skis over the next 10 years, let's say, what would you ask for?
We talked about this earlier. I think it's, as we said, it's always, you want to improve something, but you don't want to lose the other thing. And that's the big challenge, I think. I mean, we are looking for more speed, but also more safety. So this is the tough part. So that's why, I don't have a clear answer on that.
Thank you. Now, regarding your mindset when it comes to making races, you win a lot of them, of course, but also sometimes you don't end up being the first and the fastest. Is it frustrating or stimulating for you?
I think it's both at the same time. Obviously, when I'm at the start or when I cross the finish, I want to be the fastest. That's my goal, actually, in every race right now. So that's the big challenge, to deal also with that expectations. But I think my mindset is kind of still the same like many years ago. I want to ski full gas, but I think during the years I also felt like I take a little bit less risk than maybe 2, 3, 4 years ago. So I think this is also something I still need to keep working on, it to push again, to go to the limit, because all the other guys they are pushing really, really hard as well. So like this, every little defeat also, yeah, shows you that you need to keep working in every part of me and to really, yeah, keep pushing if you want to win the race.
How much time do you take for the analysis of a race afterwards? I mean, especially if you're not so 100% happy with what you did.
It really depends. I mean, obviously, I watch my run several times. I talk directly to my service about the feeling from the ski. If we choose, yeah, most of the time when I don't win, I didn't have the best feeling on my skis as well. So either it was my mistake or yeah, we just didn't took the right decision about the equipment. So this is most of the time the biggest part of analyzing is about the equipment. Have we been too sharp with the edge, too aggressive with the whole setup? What was the problem for the mistakes? So on this level, most of the time, the mistakes comes from the equipment, because when either I move the wrong way or the equipment makes me moving the wrong way. So this is always a little bit hard to find out. But yeah, it takes many times we have a race the next day, so you don't have too much time to analyze. You have to do the analyzation quickly. You have to do the decision quickly for the next day to, yeah, either sometimes I tell myself, no, now I know how to ski with this equipment. We stay on that, even if it wasn't the right feeling. And sometimes we really need to change something at the equipment to hopefully find that feeling for me again.
I've got the heavy responsibility to keep the time as well, so maybe if you select still one question, the most pressing one.
One. Oh. Well, one is about, you know, you're competing in 3 different disciplines. Isn't that too much for just one athlete?
Yeah, it actually is, but it's still somehow working most of the time. No, this is, yeah, I think the biggest challenge of my career, to handle all those 3 disciplines, especially the giant slalom and the speed events. Yeah, that's what Mathieu mentioned earlier, this talk. I nearly don't have time to train, to test during the season. I'm just yeah, jumping from one race to the other. I have to always make this switch, and yeah, the switch from going straight on a downhill ski to really move your your body in a icy, steepy GS giant slalom. It's yeah, a different sport kind of. So this is, yeah, and then I need to take this time, this 1 or sometimes I get 2 days of training. I need this to adapt myself again, so I don't really have time to test the equipment, and that's what makes it so difficult for me to perform in all disciplines.
Thank you.
So thank you. We're coming to the end of this roundtable. Sorry, I'm the one who cuts the speech right now. I hope the discussion was enjoyable for you and that it has given you a better understanding of the relationship between the sport and the innovation, and especially the role of the different stakeholders. I would like to thank all the panelists for the information they gave us, very interesting. And thanks to you, we will look at the different race from Marco in a total different way. I would also like to thank you for the very nice questions you had, and I hope you enjoyed the evening. And with that, I wish you a pleasant evening, and thank you for your attendance. Thank you.
Thank you.